Welcome to this explainer. Look, I've spent years staring at charts, analyzing markets, and experiencing the exact same brutal frustrations that you probably have. As a professional trader, I can tell you right now that the hardest part of trading, it actually isn't reading the tape. It's not calculating risk either. It's managing the person staring back at you in the monitor.
In fact, I want you to listen closely to this statement. Most retail traders fail because their brains are hardwired to mistake a repeating chart pattern for a guaranteed outcome. If you struggle with hesitation, second-guessing, or execution fear, your problem isn't your technical analysis. Your subconscious mind is actively playing tricks on you. I have absolutely been there. You freeze up right before pulling the trigger, or you exit a perfectly good winning trade way too early out of pure panic. I want to validate that struggle for you right now because it is not because you aren't smart enough. It's just biology.
So that leads us to the ultimate question for this explainer. Why does your brain actually sabotage your trades? What is literally going on in your mental environment when you look at a live market? Well, to figure that out, we have to take a hard look at the very tools we use to trade. Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the trap of chart patterns, because this is where the biggest mental paradox in the market begins.
We all use technical analysis, right? And technical analysis defines patterns. Because we see a pattern repeating, our brain automatically implies consistency. It implies a guaranteed, consistent outcome. But the reality is that each and every pattern is a completely unique occurrence. Think about it. Even if a chart looks exactly, pixel for pixel, the same as it did last week, the underlying force moving that price is people. It's traders. And the specific traders buying and selling today are totally different from the ones who built that pattern last week. So the outcome is actually fundamentally random relative to the past.
So you might be wondering, if outcomes are random, what is technical analysis actually doing for us? Well, it's just giving you an edge. And an edge is nothing more than an indication of a higher probability of one thing happening over another. That's the whole shebang. It's not a crystal ball. It is definitely not a guaranteed sequence of events. When you can shift your mindset from deterministic, meaning you think you know exactly what will happen, to probabilistic, the game completely changes for you.
The problem, though, is that our human brains absolutely hate probabilities. We aren't wired for them. We're wired for survival. And that brings us to Section 2, the brain's association mechanism. Let me walk you through a classic analogy here to show you how this works. Imagine a young boy who gets bitten by a dog. The pain is intense, the shock is real. Automatically, without him even thinking about it, his brain links that terrifying experience to the general concept of dogs. Fast forward to the next day. A completely harmless, super friendly puppy waddles up to him. What happens? His heart races, he freezes, and he feels absolute paralyzing terror. His brain just projected a negatively charged past memory onto a completely neutral now moment. Now, what's really fascinating here is how perfectly this psychological trap maps directly to your trading. Seriously, think about it. The boy is you. That dog that bit you, that's that terrible trade you took last Thursday where you lost a huge chunk of your account. And the harmless puppy is just the current market opportunity. The market is just a stream of neutral up and down ticks, guys. It has absolutely no intention of hurting you. But your brain's association mechanism links the current chart right back to your past pain, triggering fear, hesitation, and a totally defensive state of mind. This association makes you believe you somehow know what to expect. And let me tell you, believing you know what to expect is a really dangerous trap. The instant you think you know exactly what the market is going to do next, you immediately stop taking all the unknown forces into consideration. You completely ignore the thousands of other traders around the world who could jump in and act as a force on price at any second. So, to stop your mind from making these painful, completely unhelpful associations, we need a totally new framework. Let's look at Section 3, the 5 fundamental truths. We need to establish some new core trading beliefs. All right, here are the 5 fundamental truths. 1. Anything can happen. 2. You don't need to know the future to make money. 3. There is a random distribution between wins and losses for any given edge. 4. An edge is literally just a higher probability of one thing happening. And 5. Every single moment in the market is mathematically unique. If you want to succeed, you absolutely have to integrate these truths into your mental system as core, unshakable beliefs. Let's actually isolate the hardest one for most people to swallow. You don't need to know what is going to happen next in order to make money. Mind-bending, right? So the crucial point here is that trading is simply a probability game. It's just a numbers game. When you truly deeply believe that, Concepts like being right or being wrong completely lose their emotional power over you.
Think of flipping a coin. If you flip a coin and it comes up tails 10 times in a row, what are the odds the next flip is heads? It is still exactly 50-50. If you have a valid trading edge, gathering outside evidence to somehow prove your next trade will work makes about as much sense as doing a rain dance to predict a coin flip. Adding random variables just destroys your consistency.
And this brilliantly illustrates the reality of accepting random distribution. When you accept this, you finally accept the random distribution of your wins and losses. If your edge has a historical win rate, you know the wins are going to come eventually, but you don't know the sequence. That means a losing trade isn't a personal failure. A losing trade literally just puts you mathematically closer to your next winning trade. Honestly, you should be looking forward to the next occurrence of your edge without the slightest bit of hesitation.
But to actually get to that point, you must deeply, fundamentally believe the fifth truth. Every single moment in the market is mathematically and fundamentally unique. No two moments will ever perfectly duplicate themselves. Believing in this uniqueness is the ultimate shield against your brain's association mechanism. Because if this exact moment has never existed before, well, you can't possibly associate it with the pain of the past.
Which perfectly sets us up for Section 4, Mastering the Now Moment. Let's see how all of this builds into our ultimate objective, getting you into the proper state of mind to flawlessly execute your strategy.
The goal here is a completely carefree state of mind. You want to be confident, but not euphoric. When you're operating in this state, you won't feel any fear or weird compulsions because you've effectively eliminated the potential to interpret market information as a threat. And how do you do that? By completely accepting the risk up front. When you truly accept the risk of a trade, you are at total peace with whatever the outcome happens to be.
And when you accept that risk and you finally stop trying to protect yourself from the market, your mind just opens up to a true exchange of energy. You stop predicting, you just let the market tell you from its own perspective what is likely to happen next. This, my friends, is what it actually means to spontaneously enter the zone.
So, we arrive at the ultimate dividing line. What is the exact thing that separates the absolute best, most consistently profitable professionals from the amateur traders who just keep blowing up account after account?
Here it is. The best traders have trained their minds to believe in the absolute uniqueness of each moment. They completely disassociate the now moment in the market from any previous moment filed away in their brain. They come to the screens every day with absolutely no agenda other than to just let it unfold, making themselves fully available to the flow of opportunity. Look, the market is going to do what it's going to do. The patterns will appear, the probabilities will play out, and the unique moments will just keep flowing by, one after another. The only variable you actually have any control over is your own psychology. So I'm going to leave you with this. Will you keep fighting your own brain, gathering useless evidence to try and predict the unpredictable, or will you finally accept the risk, embrace the unknown, and step into the zone?